Okay, so I was told I can give you all permission to turn the heat up. But we'll do our best to make it interesting, make it hot in here. So there. Well, good morning. My name is Marcel Johnson. I'm the Senior Vice President for Talent and Technology Scouting and Development at a place called Port San Antonio. Former Air Force Base has been redeveloped. It exists today as an exciting campus for innovation and applied technology. And so on our campus, we have both of industries, aircraft maintenance and sustainment, cybersecurity, robotics, autonomous systems, which makes this panel particularly interesting to me, since we have an interest in every form of transportation and logistics that's represented here. Now, preface to say, the space panel prior to this made me think that it's probably a place for a representative in the space, logistics, and transportation that we probably talk about, maybe lean into. Perhaps that's a topic for the future that we're to head. And but I'm going to keep it suborbital and terrestrial. And thankfully, you've got three experts here that can talk about opportunities, both for education, industry development, and of course, government regulation and is focused as it relates to tech innovation and development along the lines of autonomy. So we've got Lauren Harper, who's with Kodiak, a company that does robotics and autonomous technology development for trucks and other modes of transportation. We have Kirk Hotelling, who's with Vertiports by Atlantic Aviation. And as the name implies, his company is involved in building and developing vertiports across the country, which we'll learn about momentarily. And then we have Ernest Huffman, who's with the North Texas Air Council of Governments here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's going to talk about some of the cool things that he, his colleagues, and partners up in this region are focused on to help position Texas to be a leader in tech development and integration to both safely and more efficiently advance certain systems to move people and products across our state and beyond. So let's do this. We have a couple of videos that we want to kick off, and I want to start with a video by Kodiak. So if you would, I think we've got an overhead. If you'll start that, we'll play it, and then I'll allow Lauren to talk about her company and look in a little more detail.
In early 2024, we completed our first driverless delivery on the Permian Basin, a journey that began in 2018 with the vision of revolutionizing ground transportation with autonomous technology. Today, Atlas operates Korea driver-fleet robo-trucks delivering sand daily. Once integrated with the Dune Express, this fleet is designed to create a fully automated supply chain that connects production to delivery with unmatched efficiency. Each robo-truck deployed drives our growth, delivering value for our partners while generating revenue. From vision to renown, the future of transportation is here. Kodiak, delivery today.
Okay, you want me to say a few words about the video?
Sure.
I'm Lauren Harper. I'm the Chief of Staff at Kodiak, and we are an autonomous driving company, like Marcel mentioned. So we develop the software, or a good buzzword, artificial intelligence, or a truck to drive without a driver in the cab. So what you see here is, I guess, our marketing team looking for a landman promotional in season 2. But it's for real. We have deployed autonomous driverless trucks to a customer. They own the trucks. They're called Atlas Energy Solutions. It's a public company. They haul brack sand to mines and oil wells in the West Texas Permian Basin, so right here. And they're running today. They run 24/7 driverless, so it is here, which is amazing. We're just going to scale this business and keep growing it. And at the same time, we test this technology across the southern United States on our highways, based out of our operations center in Dallas. So we do that every day, and with the goal of getting driverless out on our public highways in the near future.
Excellent. So we're going to come back to you, have more questions about that technology, its deployment, and where we're seeing it today. But now, Kirk, if you will, let's play Kirk's video as well. And so let's see about vertiports by Atlantic Aviation. I'll give one little bit. You're going to see a different name. Victoria.
Global investment, development, and deployment of innovative technologies is occurring at an unprecedented pace, accelerating transformational forms of air transportation that will change how we move to and through cities. We are developing the critical infrastructure for advanced air mobility. Imagine avoiding rush hour traffic by taking a short flight across town or a quick trip between nearby cities on a safe, whisper-quiet, and environmentally friendly flight. That imagined future is becoming a reality. It's due to the combination of two advancements: eVTOLs, or electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and the infrastructure where these innovative aircraft will operate into and out of, more commonly known as vertiports. eVTOLs are electric aircraft that can take off and land without a runway. Quietly propelled by electric propulsion, these aircraft will substantially cut travel times, reduce pollution, and create more sustainable communities. Vertiports will safely allow these nimble electric aircraft to land and take off in diverse environments, bypassing congestion and safely speeding people to their destination. Vertiport networks will also serve as gateways that connect communities with employment, education, medical care, recreation, and travel opportunities that would otherwise be inconvenient or inaccessible without advanced air mobility. Designed for safety and sustainability, vertiports will be built with innovative materials to minimize environmental impact. Their construction will create jobs, support local businesses, and will not require tax dollars to build, operate, or maintain them. ASCEND is our initiative to make the promise of vertiports a reality. The team behind it has more than 200 years of combined experience in mobility, having served in senior leadership roles across aviation, aerospace, transit, real estate, land use, and government. Utilizing big data and a proprietary modeling, we are already the leader in advanced air mobility infrastructure, and our sites under lease will be the birthplace of it in the United States. The future of advanced air mobility is on the horizon. eVTOLs are currently being certified, and we are developing locations primed for advanced air mobility. With our vision and expertise, we're helping create a world where regions are cleaner, more connected, and full of possibility. Join us in building a better future.
Good, Bill. And then I think the way we're doing this, we just want to give a brief, just kind of overview to better describe who we are and what we're doing. And with that, I'd like Ernest to talk a little bit about, again, in a self-introductory way, what you're doing as the education, I should say, aviation planning and education coordinator at North Texas Area Council of Governments.
Yeah, so I'm glad that video played before, because I don't have the sexy video to describe the technology I'm typically talking about, but what I'm here to talk about is our work with integrating advanced air mobility technologies, sort of like what you saw in that video. But my role with North Central Texas Council of Governments, we're the region's metropolitan planning organization. If you're not aware of what a metropolitan planning organization does, we do all transportation planning for a metropolitan region. My purview was all aviation, so I work with the airports, heliports, any aviation-related entity in the Metroplex to integrate the technology safely for our region's citizens. Anything we're doing now, and one of the big things we're working on now, is advanced air mobility technology, so that's those autonomous aircraft that were just featured in that previous video, and making sure that they're integrated into our Metroplex safely and efficiently. And the main goal for me is Texas domination on the technology front. So I want the manufacturing to be here, the training to be here, obviously the flights and the operations to be here, and I want our citizens to be able to take advantage of that particular opportunity with that new industry.
So what we're talking about infrastructure development, regulatory framework, next generation air, advanced air mobility, to then rail transportation. And so I work at a campus, Kirk, where we are very invested and interested in vertiports. For, I say, 5 of the past 7 years, we've had a contingent of the Air Force's Agility Prime program doing research, of looking at the efficacy and use cases of how to use this new means of transportation to either move people or products in an efficient manner. But the question is, how in the world do you determine, at least early on, where and what determines your location, or what's a good fit for vertiports, and talk about what's going to be required to build out this infrastructure throughout the country?
Sure. Thank you. Good question. So my company, at its very infancy, was a technology company, and we built a proprietary software model using cell phone data. And we don't have anybody's individual numbers or anything like that, but we can, using cell phone data, we can buy it for, say, the state of Texas or the state of Florida. And you can determine where people are, where any one person is moving between 2 points throughout the day, throughout a week, throughout a month, throughout a year. And you can tell whether those trips are for work or for pleasure or some other purpose. And so using that technology, we're able to build heat maps for every region. So we have a heat map for the DFW Metroplex for Houston, for San Antonio, Austin, etc. And like any heat map, you want to try to site the vertiport in the deepest, darkest points on that heat map, because that tells us those are where people are originating their trips and where they want to end their trips. And so that's what we use to sort of build our maps. But then we have to take it to reality, right? We have to go out into the communities and be like, gosh, is there any little piece of land that works? But that's kind of how we go about finding it. It's also really important that we work with organizations like Ernest, because it's communities are already planning these things. They already kind of know where they think, or if they're ahead of the game, they kind of know where they would like to put vertiports around the community. And so sort of overlapping with that work and seeing that they sync up is how we go about it. And then from there, it becomes like any other construction project where you need to get approval from the FAA, you need to get local approval with zoning, etc., before you can build it before. But that's how we go along.
So are you saying a lot of communities around the country looking at, ways in which they can plan for and prepare for this, or waiting for a kid to speak to make those determinations solely, or a concert?
I think organizations like this are still somewhat unique. Most communities, or many communities, haven't heard the word vertiport, and they're not sure what to do with me when I show up and say I want to build a vertiport in your community. There are communities. I think Texas is leaning forward. State of Florida is leaning forward and trying to educate their municipalities and put forward some guidelines that help. But anything a local municipality can do to advance zoning, whether it's adopting helicopter. Most communities have helipad kind of regulations already in place. Adopting them for vertiport and eVTOL usage is one path to get there, but it's not particularly widespread, I don't think, yet.
No, we're one of the only NPOs in the country that has an aviation stack, and it's me and one other person. But most NPOs do surface transportation planning. We do aviation planning simply because we have an airport network of 35 plus airports that we make sure are accommodated for. So we're unique here in North Texas, where you have somebody like me who's in a position to do the integration, but the integration overall in the country is done based on cities and metropolitan areas. So in LA, do vertiport planning on their own. Dallas historically will do it on their own. New York City will do it on their own. Miami, those kind of folks will do it on their own to integrate the $10.
And I only put that out there because from a forward-looking, forward-leading standpoint, I think it would behoove Texas and Texans to be open to the state of technology and not necessarily resistant to the thought or the concept of having these VTOLs and many of them being autonomous in how they provide services as flying taxis or to, again, move like cargo or products to and from places in an urban environment or perhaps even rural. So I'll shift for a minute. Let's talk about the ground game, and let's talk about some autonomous trucks. So in the video, we saw what obviously looks like cool capabilities, but how widespread is it right now? Because you've already deployed these trucks. These trucks are in operation already on Texas roads and elsewhere. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so we have deployed in the Permian Basin, as I mentioned before. That, to our knowledge, is the first ever true autonomous trucking deployment in the country. So it is limited to Permian Basin. We're not anywhere else without a driver in the cab today. It is the first time in history, too, that we believe an autonomous company has handed over their software to a customer. So a lot of people have said, well, one day the customers will own the trucks, but we're going to own the trucks. Atlas, which is also headquartered in Austin, Texas, so another Texas company, they own these trucks. They get to tell them where they want to go, when they want them to go there. We just monitor the trucks. So it's the first true product deployment. But there is, like, if you haven't heard of Waymo, Waymo is an amazing example of autonomous technology that's done the industry an enormous favor. You talk to anyone in San Francisco or Los Angeles, they take Waymos all the time. So that has been great for us because I think it's finally building public perception that this can be an amazing product. This is something people like to use, that they can use, but trucking is not widespread today. We have a competitor, Aurora Innovation, that's also in Texas. They plan to deploy it on the Dallas to Houston lane in April, I believe, is what they stated on their earnings call. I think we'll be right behind them, basically deploying in the same type of region here out of Texas. But it's going to be a walk, crawl, run. You know, you're not going to have 1,000 trucks all of a sudden and they're going all the different places. Each different lane will have to be validated and approved with a safety case. It also regulation matters, right? Texas is very friendly to autonomous regulation, so thank you. And now that Elon Musk has an ear in the White House, the rumor is that the federal regulation is going to catch up a little bit, which I think will also do us a big favor in terms of being able to deploy seamlessly across the United States.
And you did say that the manufacturing occurs here in Texas, or is that?
Yeah, so we don't manufacture the trucks. We're a software company, but the trucks that you saw in that video, they're actually manufactured in Denton, Texas, so also right here in Texas. And to top it off, we also, to throw it back to the last panel, we work with the Department of Defense on a program called Robotic Combat Vehicle, and it rolls up under Army Futures Command that's in Austin, Texas. And so there's a lot of Texas going on around it.
Beautiful. I love it. Love it. So, Kirk, we go down to talk to Ernest. So you are heavily involved in working with thought leaders and people in Austin. I think you serve, if I'm correct, on a commission for advanced air mobility. Talk about what our legislators in Austin are doing to help position and allow for Texas to be a world leader in autonomous vehicle technology development and, like I say, deployment.
Yeah, so the council you just mentioned, we had a Texas Advanced Air Mobility Advisory Committee that just finished wrapping up this past summer, where we made recommendations to Texas legislature on how they should proceed with integrating the technology in the Metroplex. Now, we're anticipating a few bills being produced based on that work. I know there's an autonomous advanced air mobility bill being worked on to set the groundwork and the general framework around integrating the technology in the Metroplex. We're hoping that there's some bills that will establish some state-related funding regarding the technology, but session just started, so the agenda on the advanced air mobility hasn't been put out just yet. But there's another thing that Senator Ted Cruz was here not that long ago, and he's been promoting that in the most recent FAA reauthorization bill, which is the bill that appropriates the funding for the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. There's a measure in there that states they need to create a Center for Advanced Aviation Technologies by the year 2026, which will be used to facilitate research for advanced air mobility technology and power-lift vehicles, as well as hyperspeed vehicles. Senator Ted Cruz is lobbying to have that here in North Texas. and that will be a big get. So think Army's Future Command, all those other centers that were mentioned earlier, the 17 or 16 other Department of Defense related or Army related or military related centers here in Texas. Now we'll get another research facility that will give us the momentum and gravitate all that industry, all that opportunity for academic institutions, for that being this piece that I talked about, and that future development piece. So if we were able to get that center for advanced aviation technologies here in North Texas, I imagine that everything alongside advanced air mobility technologies will start and begin here in Texas.
So the cool thing is that we all represent different parts of the state. And so I'm hearing with these technologies, there are going to be so many opportunities, career opportunities, and from an education and skills development backgrounds for each of you. I mean, what are the employers, or what's the future, workforce needs? What do they look like? Because I could guess, but I'd like for you to kind of talk about what will help push us forward from a skills development or a talent standpoint for each of the sectors represented here.
So a couple thoughts on that. So from my perspective as an infrastructure builder, there's going to be the non-sexy jobs. These are construction jobs, right? You're going to be pouring concrete and power and utilities, etc. But these, in a decade, there are going to be dozens of these around every city. So airport operations, just like you would think at an airport, are jobs that will get created here. They're the people who are manufacturing the aircraft, the pilots, and I think that's a big way. If you pay attention to the world of aviation, pilot shortages have been a concern at the airlines for a long time. And I think this is a very interesting way, the required flight hours for an eVTOL pilot are significantly less than for a commercial jet. But I fully expect that they'll get flow-through agreements with people at American Airlines that is based here. And so you can start off flying one of these and work your way up to a regional jet and, on up. And that's kind of an exciting pipeline. Undoubtedly, we'll need more air traffic controllers. Air traffic control towers are already understaffed, have been for years, and the events recently are already bringing attention to that. So I think this industry will actually help the workforce there to get mandated by the federal agencies so that can happen, and then all of these aircraft will they'll need maintenance, just like commercial aircraft. So you'll have MRO facilities that can get established even in places like your Port of San Antonio. I mean, these aircraft are going to need places to go, get worked on a little bit and be ready for the next day, kind of thing. So those are some of the immediate things that come aligned for pipeline for job opportunities that this industry creates.
Lauren, anything to add on that?
I would say it's very similar. I mean, we're not in the air. We're obviously on the ground, but we have a command and control center. So think of it as some of these similar jobs, remote monitoring of the trucks. The trucks still need maintenance. So we've designed a system that's simple. So a normal technician can learn and do this. It's not going to take large upskilling. But then to really get into the autonomous system will require higher levels of training. So you could do electrical engineering degree. Obviously a lot of technical degrees require a lot of engineers, but everything from techs to remote monitors to people that do checks on the truck, like pre and post trip inspections. Driver jobs might change, but they're not going away. Like, we still need humans in the loop for this thing to work. And so I think it kind of spans the gamut all the way from CDL training to PhD and artificial intelligence.
Workforce is one of my favorite topics because we also run an aviation career outreach initiative, and I work with all the universities in the metro to do workforce-related initiatives. And for both of these particular folks, both of their industries are in their infants. So even with both the startups And any tech-related startup, engineering and engineering. They need tons of engineers. They need engineers today, tomorrow, and yesterday. And they're competing for technology and engineers with all the other tech companies in the region. So just imagine the competition for engineers is high. They have a deficit in engineering, and they need engineers. But because both of these industries are in their infancy, there's going to be the need when they become commonplace for everything under the sun. So he mentioned the pilots, the flight attendants, laboratory facilities, construction workers. What are the big ones I like to talk about? And I do drone stuff too. So we need drone pilots. If you guys have a Part 107 program at your schools, your kids will have employment in the near future with a lot of the drone delivery companies. So think of these folks who are all at the industry, all at infancy and startup phase of their product cycles. But when they get out of that, they're going to need anything under the sun. And then I like to talk about the opportunity inherent in that for our community and our folks to get involved.
That's good. And I will add that because these are emerging industries through these innovative technologies that, we can't see how some of these things will play out, but we can just definitely know that it will require diverse skills and backgrounds. And so the colleges, universities that are trying to prepare the next generation of workforce or workers should also be prepping them for the fact that what you're learning today is going to be applied in ways that you perhaps cannot imagine right now, but will come into focus as needs and, for sure, economic opportunities present themselves. How are we on time? Because I think we're probably within a 30-minute window that we were given. So I will ask if you all have any last thoughts or comments that you'd like to share or make before we wrap. Or
I'll talk about it. One of the big things, and we've had a lot of aviation accidents recently, right? What I'll ask for you folks to not succumb to hysteria. Aviation transportation is one of the safest form of transportations historically you can ever imagine. I mean, our safety record is almost what's clubs? Space travel, maybe? But it's very safe. And with these AI and autonomous systems, they're designed to make it safer. So what I say is embrace this technology. When it comes upon your desk and you see news articles about it, read it, pay attention to it, because we want our citizens to be able to take advantage of these new opportunities. Because as you know, no matter what the end does, then we're there. A funky transition in administrations, right? I say look for opportunities in these changes. Okay, the opportunities are there. And with these new industries, these are opportunities we can take advantage of. You should push it to your folks. A lot of jobs will get phased out coming up with AI technologies. These aren't those jobs.
If I would only add, we've used the word autonomous a lot up here, and I think the technology that I showed will at some point in the future become autonomous. But the FAA has already mandated that it will start with piloted aircraft. So we know that's going to happen, and from a timing perspective, the FAA has yet to certify any of these aircraft. I think that will happen probably next year, to be honest, in 26, maybe the end of the year, but probably not. But I think you'll see these aircraft flying in 26 with the pilot, and then it'll, the sky's the limit at that point. Literally, I think in a matter of years, we'll see these fairly commonplace around our cities, and I know that people already talked about trying to get it in place for things like World Cup, etc. Because that's a super visible way to showcase the new technology.
Yeah, we're planning for operations for World Cup 26 in Arlington. So if you're here in North Texas, you're here for World Cup games in Q time frame. We hope to have some operations to demonstrate the technology for the World Cup 26 games.
Just tag on really quick to what Ernest said about safety. And unfortunately, ground transportation does not have as good of a safety record as aviation, not even close. If as many accidents as happen on the roads happen in the air, we would be talking about this all the time. So I think Kodiak, one of our top values and something we're striving for is to make roadways safer. We set a bar really very, very high, same as Waymo. I think there's massive opportunity to improve the safety profile of ground transportation in America with this technology. So,
Good deal. Exciting times, great opportunities ahead for the state of Texas. If there be nothing further, I just want to thank our panelists again and appreciate you all and your attention to the conversation today. I think we'll be around if you all want to continue to chat, discuss some of these items further. But thank you all. Appreciate your attention.
Thank you, everyone.